Okay, here we are in Georgetown making another tape of Washington, D.C. I think we're going to collectively put all these tapes together and call them the Tea Partier's Guide to Washington, or the Tea Party Goes to Washington, maybe after the Rand Paul book, because they're all about the luxury of living as a federal bureaucrat, a fatcrat, who is the actual 1% who rule everything and who live off your tax dollars in very nice surroundings where they never have any unemployment or job insecurity. This is the C&O Canal, which runs through Georgetown beside the Potomac River, which is over there, and that's Arlington, Virginia in the distance. The C&O Canal is named after the Chesapeake rivers and I guess the Ohio River. It's how they used to bring on barges in the 17th or 18th or maybe even early 19th century wheat and iron and other things back and forth. Barges and donkeys and horses would pull along, maybe even oxen, on these side gravel paths that are now bypass. This building is the Gates Foundation, I'm pretty sure, the back side of it. It's actually on a street that's over there called Water Street, but it's Bill Gates' foundation that he dispenses his money through. And then the other buildings you see there are mainly condos. But this little side street, which we're picking because it's St. Patrick's Day and there are all these people running around and they're noisy. This little side street is called Cady's Alley, and until recently it really was an alley. You can see it looks like an alley now, but now it is Washington's largesse, its money on display, because these were all renovated recently and they are mainly extremely expensive home redesign places. You can see this looks like a store devoted to expensive kitchens. Bow Concepts, which I think is sound systems. Let's just walk right up. Fortunately, oh no, Bow Concepts is furniture. I want you to use the main entrance, which is on M Street, but you can see it's expensive, ultra-modern furniture. Here's this place, Padini, which I'm not even familiar with, but as you can see, it's expensive kitchens. Expensive kitchen renovation. Here's City Sports, which is a luxury gem. As we continue down Cady's Alley, which is all closed, so there aren't any people. Hopefully no muggers want my iPad. Although this is the iPad 2. I was thinking of buying the iPad 3, so I suppose if this one gets stolen, well, you'll never know it because I won't be able to upload this video. Anyway, this is a fascinating little detail. See the metal star? A lot of those in DC on older buildings that have been upgraded or maintained. It's the bolt on the end of a giant nut, a rod that goes through the building. There's an expensive lamp store. I don't know if you can make out those are lamps. Anyway, it's a rod that goes through the building to hold it together because it's beginning to bow out rather. It's beginning to not be structurally sound anymore. And you see those all over DC. This is a really expensive lamp store, and I'm pretty sure that when I was renovating a condo, I came here once and I had plenty of money at the time, and I walked all through it and looked at every single piece of lighting fixture, and the people outside of their desk and did not talk to me. I've had this happen to me at luxury car places before. In the luxury car place, I just went to a different luxury car place and bought a different luxury car because somebody came out and talked to me right away. This place I actually just went to Home Depot and bought the highest end Home Depot lighting fixtures instead, which were much cheaper. They have actually begun to break down, however, after about 9 or 10 years, so I don't know if that would have happened at Illuminations or not. But this might be the backside of Ding & DeLuca, although I don't think it is. Oh no, I ate here once. It's some European beer place. Here's something called Relish. Relish appears to be expensive women's clothing. Washington Yuppies. I think probably a slightly international crowd of Washington Yuppies. they all have money to get out because, unlike wherever you are, they have no unemployment. Because they all work for the government, or people who work for the government. Design within reach. Now that's interesting. These people actually purport to be selling you design that is within your reach. Unusual for Washington. But there they are. Here on Cady's Alley. I'm not sure what that is. That might actually be a condo. In the backside of little houses. This one seems to have been converted into a bicycle rent shop. An expensive women's clothing store called Babette. Here's something called Tipton or Vitra or something. Contemporaria seems to also be wanting to sell you modern furniture. Oh, here's a store devoted just to chocolate. Now that's not uncommon at all in Washington. That kind of takes us out of Cady's Alley. Could go up to M Street, but I think my battery's going to die soon, and I would just as soon actually walk along the C&O Canal to get to where I'm going next, because it's quieter, and that's my tip for you. Besides making fun of the Washington fat crap 1% who live off your tax dollars, my tip for you is that if you're in D.C., and you can't really buy this expensive furniture, and you don't want to walk on the crowded, noisy streets, you can walk along parallel to M Street and K Street. You can walk along the C&O Canal instead. And you can get back and forth across it because it has all these nice little bridges, and you could probably feed a duck while you're here, or a goose. But you can also walk along it and avoid the riffraff. You'll face an occasional bicyclist like me, and a lot of people on foot. But there'll be fewer of them, and they'll be quieter, and there won't be cars, which is what you would get. On M Street. Anyway, I think it's now too dark for this recording to really go on. Maybe I'll let it go for 9 minutes and it'll just edit itself down, or you can stop watching now if you're watching, because I can tell you that I'm not going to see anything interesting. And up there is Dina DeLuca. You can't really see it. It's up above the wall. It's an expensive, fashionable eatery. And here's a building that has lots of those stars that I told you about that are the nuts on the end of a bolt. It's a rod that runs through the building. This is an older building to support it structurally and keep the wall from blowing out. DC seems to have more of those in a lot of places, although it must be the case that Boston and New York and other places that have turn-of-the-century buildings have them too. This is a little side street that has condos on each side. These are condo townhouses. You can go up into it, and it's a whole courtyard called Paper Mill Court. And then on the other side, the wall I'm walking against, is Georgetown Mall, but it also has condos that are called Georgetown Park. And they have little balconies, which you can see there, because they're all down on the C&O Canal and the Potomac River. It is Mosquito City, starting very shortly. Anyway, the condos down here are all called Paper Mill and Flour Mill and things like that because they were on the Potomac and the C&O Canal, and grain was brought here along the C&O Canal